Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of The Untold. Now, Lujane, I do have something to tell the audience, right? We had a previous guest, Alfarouq Abdulaziz, who is, I'm sure, frequent watchers of KTV2 know him, right? He's an icon of television. He's one of the foundational members of cinema clubs in Kuwait. He had so many things to talk about. Honestly, he is a wealth of knowledge. He has so many ideas, so many destinations, so many memories, so many paths. So we decided to bring him on The Untold to hear all about his journey, all of it, right? We're talking about his filmmaking analysis, his documentary world, his travels, his festivals, his journalism, everything about him.
Honestly, Abdullah, I loved talking to him last time, and I think that we didn't get enough of him. His stories and his colorful life and the history of everything is something that I think we could never get enough of. And with that, I think we should just dive right in and see the wonders he has in store for us. So stay tuned for after the break.
And we're back, dear viewers, with our esteemed guest, Alfarouq Abdulaziz. Thank you for joining us again on a brand new episode of The Untold.
My pleasure.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure to have you. We enjoyed the last episode so much. I feel like we didn't have enough time to cover all the concepts we could talk about. I know we briefly touched upon this. I wanted to ask you for a bit more detail. And when you watch a film, what's the first thing you pay attention to?
Well, actually, the script. This is the first thing. I can easily find out where is the spine of the script and where are the plot and the subplots. I can find that easily I'm talking about a classical script. Classical script means that there are threads that are thrown at the beginning, like in the first 10 minutes. And these threads will take us into a much deeper perspective into the characters and their lives. So the first 10 minutes are really the first time I judge when I watch a film. In the first 10 minutes, they have all the threads and they are clear threads, but subtle, of course. I mean, they are subtle but clear. To me, it will be clear. I can find out that this film is worth watching. Sometimes I walk out from a screening after 10 minutes because it doesn't look at all professionally written. The script is the main thing in a film. I mean, we always look at the topic and the subject and this important subject. This is political, this is high standard subject or whatever. I don't care about that. Let it be about anything, about a plant, about a cockroach, but well made. The history of art, as I said, is always not about what, it's about how.
Yeah.
That's why that attracts me in the film.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because sometimes even if you don't enjoy the subject of what a movie might be about, if it's well written and well produced, you're going to enjoy it. Don't you think, Abdullah?
Yeah, it is. And honestly, I love how you emphasize the idea about the script, because they say, bad directors can make great movies based on great scripts, but good directors can make great movies based on bad scripts. So the script is the foundation. But I do want to ask you, how did you get all of this knowledge based on film critique? Like, is it something you've gained along the way as you watch more and more films, or is it something you notice immediately once you got into cinemas? Like, oh, I know what I like, I know what I don't like.
Yeah, I was lucky. I was very lucky during my childhood years that my father was a great fan of films. So he would take me every week 3 times to a movie house. 3 times.
Mashallah.
So I was very good at general information. Number 1 in the school, number 1 in the governorate, completely, and I got awards for that, for my general knowledge I got from films.
Yes.
I know the history of First World War, First World War, Alexander the Great, ancient Egyptians, blah, blah, from the films. So the films was a source of inspiration, a source of, it enriched my imagination, and it drew the line, where should I be in the future? But the main thing is also I'm an avid reader. I was an avid reader I remember very well during my secondary school that I bought books about filmmaking, about films, about the history of cinema, mainly about the history of cinema. I was fascinated by that, and how the Lumiere brothers, who invented the first camera, after Paris, they shot in Paris, and in Lyon, they came to Egypt, and I saw that footage, like 1 minute, 1.5 minute footage.
Are they the ones who made a trip to the moon?
What?
The
The trip to the moon? No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Trip to the moon was done by Méliès.
Méliès, yeah.
Yeah. He came later after that. He offered to purchase the camera from them. They refused. So he started, he was a sorcerer, like a conjurer and all that sort of thing. And he would get rabbits out of a rose and something like that. So he did the trip to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it was Jules Verne's idea in the first place in the previous century. In the 18th century, when he wrote Trip to the Moon in French. And it was kind of an inspiration to Méliès. Yeah. You know, there's a film about him in his retirement, which is produced by Martin Scorsese.
Is it? Yeah, it's called, I think it's called
Hugo.
Yeah. 3D
Hugo.
was also released. Yeah. It's a great movie.
Yeah. So the thing is that what attracts me to a film is not mainly the subject. It's how is it written. This is professional, and I got all the information in my life starting from high school. So this is too much of information to gather over. Even before I practiced criticism, I was like in my 23rd year when I practiced criticism. Before that, I was writer for comics.
Oh.
Worked with Disney, the Arabic version. I was writing the local stories in Disney for 1 whole year. So comics. I am also a comic writer, comics writer. But anyway, after that, I specialized in film and focused on film. So I had gathered a lot of information about filmmaking, about film history, about personalities, and how the film developed, the development of film, the discovery of montage, and all that sort of thing I came up with before I started writing about film. Yeah. That's why it was easy to find out that I was the first one in my generation who became a real art critic and film critic, because I did also plastic arts criticism for 3 years, given all the time to plastic arts, formative arts, they call them sometimes, plastic arts. So I had this vision of all arts combined in filmmaking. And you have to be a master of understanding, for instance, light in any picture. I can easily source who is behind this lighting in that film. If the director and the cinematographer is fully aware of that he's painting with light, that's fine with me. Sometimes the films are terribly bad because the source of light is can be manufactured. It's not natural light. For instance, somebody filming in the desert, people sitting there and they have some fire, that's fine. If he shoots them with the glowing fire and the reflection on their faces and all that, that is great. There's only one filmmaker, one cinematographer, he's Cuban, Nestor Almendros.
Okay.
When you see his book about his experience with that in US, you will be shocked at it, because when Terrence Malick, one very important director, I showed some of his films in my show years ago. He brought him from Cuba, and he discovered that he shoots in the natural light. That's incredible. I see a lot of films filming in the woods, in a forest, in a thick forest, in a desert with manufactured light. It's easy to find out that this source is not natural.
Yeah.
Then the cinematographer gets an X immediately.
I mean, I'm glad you brought Terrence Malick as an example, because his movies look beautiful. You know, Heaven's Gate, The Thin Blue Line, I think it's called, The Tree of Life. All of his movies look absolutely amazing.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's funny that you brought up light, because that's actually something I've noticed in modern movies is not being portrayed in a really good way anymore. Like, especially back then when it comes to color grading and other things like that, old movies, they really focused on it's a movie. So you want to make it enjoyable for the viewer to watch, like richness of color or contrast of certain colors, or depending on the time period, they might make things look more vintage or more this. But nowadays, they all try to make everything kind of look too realistic.
Yes.
And a big problem I know a lot of people have is, especially if there's a dark scene in a movie, they can't see what's happening anymore, because even it's just too dark to watch. And you're like
see.
putting the brightness up, or you're putting the sound up, and you can't really see what's going on. So I wanted
Yes.
to ask you what your thoughts on that were, like about movies before and movies now,
Yeah.
in terms of lighting and cinematography.
Yeah, I mean, most of the films are done today digitally. And when you do the digital, the subtleties of when it is pitch black, and when you shoot on film, celluloid, it's discernible. It's you can see there are some pixelation, but very little pixelation gives you a little bit of light. In digital, black is black,
Yeah.
completely. White is white. And this is what's bad about digital. Some of the filmmakers now, until today, they shoot on film because it's art. The art was created by shooting in film. Digital is a way to fasten the production, to make it easier, and it will cost less money. That's the point. And instead of shooting all these rolls and then sending them to the lab and the printing and blah, 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 and the color gradation and all that, so they do that digitally, which is easy, of course. I got a course in New York Film Academy for for 3 months. A very intensive, high intensive course. And we were asked to shoot on film, Super 16. And we edit on film, do everything in film. And I asked them, can I add sound? They said, no. I mean, it will be fine to have it without sound. I said, I have this challenge. I want to do it in sound. They said, okay, do it. You are the only one in the class doing it with sound. I did with sound, and they kept my film. They have shown at the end for everybody. They said we keep it as an example of how we teach
That's amazing.
the students. Yeah, we show it to the next generation of students and all that.
Yeah.
So it's to shoot on film is different from digital, and the digital is used now, I said, widely used to minimize the cost.
But also, like you said, a lot of filmmakers prefer film even today, because I remember there was a famous incident with Quentin Tarantino when he made The Hateful Eight.
Yes.
He specified to use 70 millimeter, kind of film instead of going digital, and that got him into trouble with the production company. And also Paul Thomas Anderson is very famous for using film as well.
Right.
Yeah, and you can actually, like if you see a lot of digital footage and then you see film footage, it's actually noticeable. There is a very distinctive, drastic style difference between the two. And I love how you emphasize that idea. And also for the night shooting, a lot of films nowadays shoot day for night so they can change it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
But it also looks so fake. I mean, I think that's where the beauty is lost in a lot of modern filmmaking.
Yeah, that's right. The one thing that attracts me, for instance, a guy like Martin Scorsese, who's a very important director, his last film he shot on film for that reason, because in digital, when you say it's too realistic, yes, but less artistic. Yeah, fine. I'm happy with that reality, but it's still less artistic. For instance, when you see the Star Wars series, and the old one and the new one, and it's still continuing in production now, it's so real to the point that you think that you are there with them and all that sort of thing, but less art, because this kind of film, this genre, doesn't need great art. Because it's, for instance, I had that experience in New York, in Lincoln Square. There's a cinema where I was there in 1970, after 20 years, 79. I was there, 97, 97, after 20 years of production of the first one.
Yeah.
Then Lucas decided to show an amended version of the film and extended slightly. So I have been there, and I didn't realize that I'm amid the great fans of Star Wars. So I was sitting in the dark. Maybe I'm the oldest one there. 97, I may be the oldest one, because when it started, just the John Williams music, It's and all the time I didn't hear anything. You see, I was about to go to to the theater director and tell him, please do something. I cannot understand nothing. You see, because these don't care about art.
Yeah.
This kind of audience, they don't care about art.
It is
too much art. It's made to be like and all that sort of thing. Like in the 30s and 40s, they had series that inspired Lucas when he was very young. Series Shazam.
Oh, okay.
And I watched those series.
Yeah.
In my very early days in cinema, I watched the series. They would bring like 15 minutes before the film of a series of Shazam. Shazam was a character like an Iron Man.
Yeah.
He can do
it's like a
everything
superhero
and all that sort of thing.
Characters.
Yeah, that's right. And they have many. You have Tarzan. You have you have like a series. And he was inspired by that. He said that.
Oh,
He
that's
was
so
inspired.
cool. I didn't know he was inspired by, that kind of character. And I think it does make a big difference, you're right, the people who are watching for the love of cinema or just because they're big fans of a certain thing. We are going to take a very quick break, and then I hope we can continue after. So stay tuned. And we're back from that short break. So I know we were talking about how people before watched movies and how movies are now, and how a big thing goes on what you're watching the movie for. Your love of cinema, your love of the actual, premise of the movie. Fandoms are a big thing these days, and sometimes I feel like they pull a franchise through, even if the movie itself is not very good. For instance, I know that growing up and looking at all the older movies, they're the kind of classics you can rewatch over and over again. Whereas I find a lot of more modern movies might be fun one time, or they're just not hitting right. Like you watch them, but they don't give you that feeling that you get. There are some gems. There are some movies that are new that you're like, wow, this is an amazing movie. But those kind of movies that you kind of rewatch over and over again, I personally don't feel like they exist as much. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts were.
No, that's right. Completely, because the films I feel urged to watch again are the films of they respect the art of filmmaking. So I would watch again because I enjoyed the good filmmaking. Two, that I get deeper into the subtleties that didn't appear to me the first time. I got the total, what they call the total effect. I got a total effect that I'm impressed, it's good, and all that sort of thing. When I go and see it for the second time, now the total effect is there, but now I get to the subtleties here behind that and all that. Oh, she did that. I understand now. I understand something like that. And of course, as I told you before, that, for instance, a film like Hamlet, the Russian version, which is the best ever until today. I have seen the British, of course, with Sir Laurence Olivier, and I saw it again when Kenneth Branagh did Hamlet, and Kate Winslet was Ophelia, but Kate Winslet was like very badly cast. Actually, why? Because she was full. Her body is full, and all the Ophelia is always like, ooh, she's
like a waif.
Yeah, she's a very minute girl. Like her body is like so small, and her voice is
very delicate, very tiny.
Yes, very
that's
delicate, and also thing. But anyway, when you see Kate Winslet just coming out from Titanic, so she's like, oh, and that's not good. And he played Hamlet. In that film, I saw it in New York in the cinema next to Plaza Hotel, the famous hotel. There's a cinema there, so I watched it, and he got, believe it or not, he got Jack Lemmon to play one of the guards who saw the phantom of his father. Jack Lemmon, everybody started laughing. So the film was a failure, complete failure. Now it still stands the Russian version. Anyway, what I'm saying is that this is what brings me to watch a film again and again and again. When it becomes your profession, you need to surpass yourself, as they say. You need to see things that nobody talked about. Nobody has seen that. Nobody has felt that. And why he felt that? Because you analyze. If I'm analyzing, I have to give why is this good. You have to say why, not just an impression. Oh, that's very good. No, very good is not criticism.
It is.
You see, you have to analyze, which means you have to say, to get all the elements that made it good and show it and show the piece. And this is what I try to do while introducing films on television and even in live audiences. I would introduce a film, then I prepare a montage of certain pieces of the film, and then say, let's see why is this good, and talk about it.
Yeah.
This is what film criticism is all about.
Yeah, and I also think that people before made movies for the love of it, right? Because movies back then didn't make such an insane amount of money like they do now.
Yeah.
So they were all into the love of it.
Yes.
And I remember a specific example, to go back to your Hamlet example. I was watching a TV series that was released, I think, 10 years ago, called War and Peace, which is based
Yes.
on a novel.
Yes.
And then there's a level of, I'd say, fakeness to it. So I went and I watched the Russian version of it, which was made, I think, in the 50s or 60s. So the entire movie is 7 hours long. And I saw that movie, and you can feel the love that got into making this movie. It feels so real. It feels so authentic. It feels, you know, like a project of passion. But the newer ones, it feels like they made it just to make some money, you know,
Yeah.
just to pull up some
Yeah.
airtime.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Unfortunately, this is the way it is. And the way people react to films now is very different from old times. Old times I'm referring to like 30 years ago, not very old times.
Yeah, no, it's not even
You
that
see, I
long
mean,
ago.
people will get tied up and they're ready to go to watch a film, and they are because there is something in the art and the philosophy of communication, which is called suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
When you go into a film, you know you are watching a film on a screen, but you suspend your disbelief of the incidents that you are going to watch on the screen. You suspend that at the door.
Yeah.
And you begin into it and live the story, and get, of course, you cry sometimes, you laugh sometimes, and whatever. So you live it. There, you suspended your disbelief of what you are saying. This is suspension of disbelief. So, in old times, I mean, 30 years ago or something, we go and we enjoy the film as is.
Yeah.
You see, now with the easiness of bringing films to your table every day, easily, it's very easy. Films from all over the world in so many languages, Japanese, French, Italian, whatever, and subtitled in Arabic. And that's very fine. I'm watching. I'm very happy with that. But I don't get that feeling of collective watch. When you go collectively, there is some atmosphere and
The cinema
aura
experience.
of believing and communicating with the screen and with the characters on the screen and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Films that made billions of dollars, like Titanic, for instance, he played on that.
Yeah.
He played on that to the suspension of disbelief. He played it very well, and he did it very well, actually. Yes, he did it very well. And the reaction to, I was talking to a script doctor in US. This was 1997 when the film came out, the Titanic. And he said that, do you like the film? I said, I like the way it reached the people. But it's film well made. It's
Yeah.
well made. I mean, there is no mistake here or there.
That's James Cameron, you know. one of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best
It's
editors.
very well made. It's very well made. I didn't like some of his films, but this film I like because it's very well made, and he told a story in a classical way, and it made everybody cry. I cried
Yeah.
at the end when Jack Dawson is falling at the in the
Yeah, I think
ocean.
we all got emotional, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, everybody got emotional about that.
And James
Even my mother-in-law,
Yeah.
she was sitting there and he cried. See, it's-
One of the most recognizable emotional movies out there, Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think like movies like that, they're just because they're so well made, they become kind of cult classics. They
Yes.
become the kind of movies people, even if you're not a big fan of that certain genre of movie, you're gonna enjoy that movie.
right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do want to ask you though about something that I heard that you did in the 1980s, where you had a show here on Kuwait TV
Yes.
called Sin Club.
Yes.
Was that it?
Yes.
So could you just tell me a bit about it? Like, when did it begin? What was your experience? Because I
Okay.
didn't know you actually did stuff here too.
Okay. Yes, that's right. I did it for consecutively 15 years, non-stop. And then came the invasion, and then my restart. I was asked to restart right away after the invasion. I started 1 year, and then I got into more ambitious projects in Canada and US, and I did some production there. So the time was like bad, very bad, to continue with the Cine Club. The Cine Club is still, until today, it's a landmark that I cannot forget. I mean, it's my life, actually, because even today, I mean, I walk in a co-op, for instance, and then I find somebody, aren't you, because he heard my voice talking to somebody, and he's, aren't you Farouk? Yes, whether he's old or young. Even some young people, to the point that there was a boy, there was an event. I was there, a public event at the Americani Center years ago, like 2018 or something, December 2018. They were celebrating the passage of 80 years after the publication of the book, The Sons of Sinbad.
Yeah.
Sons of Sinbad. You are aware of it?
Yeah.
By Villiers, Alan Villiers. So I was there because I produced a short about the book, and I was writing a script for the book to be produced with National Geographic at that time, and with the Australian Screen Australia.
That's so
Anyway,
cool.
yes, it's a very important project, actually. I worked for 6 months to come up with the script, you see, which is docudrama, kind of docudrama. Anyway, so I was in that event, and then there was that boy by the name of Saad al-Sharrad. He just came and he said, my name is Saad al-Sharrad. I said, yeah, Habibi, yeah, how are you? He was like in the secondary school, like in the second, whether you call the 7th grade or something like that. And he said, do you mind if I take a picture with you? I said, do you know me, who I am? He said, yes, I do.
Mashallah.
I said, are you sure? He said, yes, Farouk Abdulaziz, Dr. Farouk Abdulaziz. I said, but let me, was 1 second. He went there and he brought a picture, the 70 by 50, very big one, which is very nicely decorated. And he brought a picture of me and Vanessa Redgrave sitting in a park in northern of England. We were shooting a film, Vanessa Talks with Farouk Abdulaziz, in my documentaries. And I was sitting there, and she is sitting next to me, and yeah, something like that. And he said, I take that with the picture. I said, where did you find this picture? I said, on the internet. I said, oh my goodness. And he printed it 70 by 50, like a poster. And I took the picture of me and him and the photo. And unfortunately, I didn't take his phone number or take even a picture of that, because people were around asking me, so I forgot about that. But anyway, this is the way I find the Cine Club until today. You see, just yesterday, I've been at the bank and there's somebody. So it's why? Because I took it very seriously as a mission. Teach people about film appreciation, how to appreciate a film. If you succeed at that, this will be great. So whenever I go, and even until today, I get into some chairman of the board office. Oh, don't enter until you bring me a copy of that film. I was very young and I need a copy. You see, something like that. I said, it's over. It's on the internet. No. I said, I need with you introducing it. I mean, if you have, I do have. Yes, I bring to him. So the Cine Club was an idea. I was doing a similar show in Cairo. In 1975, that is. Too early for you, both of you. So anyway, I was doing a show called Film Archive, where we get scenes from an Egyptian film and go to the actual places, meet the actual people, the real people, and show them the scene, and then listen to what they think about it. Whether it's fake or nothing, oh no, it doesn't represent, or it does represent, whatever. So this was the structure of the show. It's called Film Archive. And it went on. It was very, very good. And then anyway,
Well, I think
it's another long story. I don't want to get into it. How I came to Kuwait because of this show.
Yeah.
It's a story that I will not. I can, of course, it's untold, very much untold.
well, you know, I think
Untold
it might be
story.
untold for now, but it might be told hopefully in the next episode we have with you.
Okay.
Because I think it's so cool that episode allowed you to suspend your own disbelief to having fans and people you made an impression on.
Yeah.
And I do want to thank you for joining us today and sharing this with us. So
You're welcome.
yeah. So stay tuned for after the break. And with that, we wrapped up another amazing segment with Alfarouq Abdulaziz. And honestly, Abdullah, I'm always in awe whenever we get to speak to him. He's a living legend. And just hearing his stories, I feel like we need to just, always have more time to talk to him. It never feels like enough.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the audience are going to feel that, right, from the many parts of the conversation we've had with him, is that honestly, mashallah, he has so many stories to tell. He has so many great anecdotes to say. He has so many knowledge to share with us. And like you said, I think the audience can see how both of us are just listening to him, right? He is such a well of good storytelling techniques, right? And I do love listening to him. I love watching his passion unfold in front of us.
I agree. I love learning about his history. I love that we got to see the untold story of Alfarouq Abdulaziz, and I hope the audience enjoyed it as well.